Hello and welcome back to our Fro recap Q&A post-game analysis. Greg, who's the MVP of the session, of the game, the season, the show?
I'm sorry, you like potato mic'd me really hard there. What did you say?
Who's the MVP?
Oh, the MVP of the whole show?
Of everything. Who's the MVP?
Damn. MVP's Grimes. Grimes was such a fascinating character the whole time. And I love the evolution of him from the start, where he was just kind of a fish out of water, right, in this new role that he had. And he consistently made the best of every situation and then evolved into this like badass hero. Like, he was the most heroic of the characters, and for that he's MVP.
Yep. I'm
followed closely by Amelie, of course.
Yeah, Grimes for MVP.
Not,
yeah, not
I guess MVC.
yeah. Chat says Nimrod and Coffee
That's
Grinder.
what I was gonna say.
Okay.
Nimrod. I like Coffee Grinder.
Coffee Grinder is my favorite.
Yeah. I think Grimes' character arc was interesting, and the last encounter worked out really well to like play him up as the hero.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the title character. Or do you beg to differ, Nick?
I don't know what you mean by title character, like the main character.
I don't know. I think I do come first in the
kind of like I kind of think it as it's like something George Martin might write, where the obvious hero isn't actually the hero.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what that's what I meant by that last encounter going nice, right? Yeah, the interesting narrative twist.
Yeah, definitely.
Nick, who's your MVP?
My favorite character was probably Nimrod. I agree with that. Yeah. Most valuable player, as in terms of moving things along. I don't know. It's got either
you can say you can say William. William dealt so much damage this campaign.
If I wasn't playing William, I'd probably say William.
Yeah.
William was very much the most important part of like surviving. Like William, the campaign would not have worked.
I think pretty much everyone had that moment. Like, I remember Ferris just like unloaded during the battle at Fort Bloodbath, and I think I did like over 200 damage that fight, which was just crazy for the point we were at. Like, everyone had a point where like without them we would have been screwed.
Yeah, yes. Definitely. Yeah, 100%.
The party meshed really well together in that capacity, where everyone had a moment to shine, many moments to shine, actually. So
William MVP for sled pulling.
I mean, yeah, actually,
I mean, that's not to be overlooked. Like,
yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Is this a good time to transition to the
mechanics?
Yeah. How did we feel about the encumbrance?
Okay, so I don't
shenanigans
that much. I actually really enjoy doing like numbers discussions and like figuring out. I imagine it's probably not the best thing for like streams, and viewers at a certain point are probably just gonna like have their heads explode. But I actually really enjoy like handling the numbers with people and like arguing like, we can handle this. Like, no, we got to do this.
I think that's as intended, and I don't know if we have this much forethought, but in hindsight, it very much sets the mood for the campaign. Sure, it's tedious, but that's exactly what it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
for this campaign.
Yeah, that's true.
You kind of need the right kind of people for that. Like, you need people who enjoy handling like math and numbers discussions. And like, we have a computer scientist and a physicist and an accountant and whatever the hell Nick does.
An investment broker?
Not a broker.
A money maker.
Money manager. If you like that.
Servant of the 1%.
No, because it's pension funds, so I'm paying the little guy, right?
Yeah, I'm just trying
actually.
Well, keep telling yourself that.
I think my personal opinion on the sled management was that at certain points it did become too tedious.
Yeah.
I think the portable hull came at just the right time, because it was starting to annoy me at certain points. But like Ryan said, though, that I guess that was kind of the point.
Yeah, and I think that's also like, there's more to the upgrade path in D&D than just getting cool magic items that make you stronger in combat. But like, this was intentional in like older D&D, and it's kind of washed away in newer editions where it's not as big of a deal. But it used to be like you get the bag of holding because this lets you travel much more easily in the future. Right? It was your ability to travel with lots and lots of goodies was an actual upgrade path in Dungeons and Dragons. That's an intentional feature of the game.
That's another thing I really liked. I don't know if you did this on purpose, Neal, but the mechanical advancement of our gear, and like Sean's just alluded to, the sled and then the portable hull being one, but also the way that we got upgraded armor from the dragon. You fought really hard against me trying to get full plate or better armor in general, which you can't really blame me for trying to do. But I thought that was managed well, and killing Sleet and then getting the armor from it, I thought was quite a cool way of giving you that gear.
Yep. I had Frofro plot points broken into 3 segments. One of them is about conquering your environment. One of them is about acquiring vast riches, and one of them is about end game lore and getting, finishing up the storyline. And so, if you can see this document that you can't see, you'll notice that the beginning of the game is very heavily stacked with environmental storylines and plot points. And then like sprinkled with riches throughout the middle, and then like mid game and end game have a lot more end game stuff and riches scattered in there. So the idea was that the first third of the game or so would be about like overcoming your environment and like dealing with the world and the weather and travel and gear and stuff. And then like sort of the middle third is all about getting rich, bitch. And the last third is about, dealing with the scrags and dealing with the storyline behind everything. So that pacing of like battling the environment and slowly getting ahead and then finally it not really being that much of a problem for you was very intentional and paced out.
Yeah, the weather was probably one of the hardest things to get right, because I know a lot of people were like, it felt like it kind of became a non-factor too early. But if it was a factor, like at a certain point, you're going to just die to a blizzard, right?
Right.
Yeah. On the plus side, I think it encouraged the kind of behavior that we wanted, right? It had us managing our resources and like changing the pace.
And like at a certain point,
it had us cautious. We were afraid of it, but So I think the biggest thing that made it too much of a non-factor was the fact, as soon as we figured out that it was okay at midnight, the weather switches from one to the other, and then it lasts for a full 24 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as you know that, like that changes how you react to blizzards. Right. It's the kind of thing where like the blizzard can roll in and you don't know if it's going to last for an hour or 24 hours. Then we might have been like, okay, it's only an hour. We can push through a blizzard in an hour. But as it was,
we had that with the Blizzard Boy when the wolf attacked us. We had like a blizzard has literally just suddenly enveloped you out of nowhere, and we kind of
and that was nice to throw a wrench in the weather thing. That was just when it was starting to get predictable, and you were like, here's this way that it's not only every 24 hours. There are Blizzard Boys here to wreck your shit.
In hindsight, Neal, what changes would you have made to the weather system?
Well,
I would have changed.
I think I have to. I mean, I guess you've got that. You were rolling for the weather. Yeah.
So I would have done away with the cold system.
Ooh.
I would just scrap it all together and say that the weather changes your movement. Yeah. And then I think I would have scaled it a little bit differently. I think it went. I don't know.
I think people underestimate how much effect it had later in the game, where like it could really screw over missile combat. Right? Yeah. Even light weather was a -3 to missile shots. That's most of what weather, like, because that's a lot of what we were shooting for, right? Was like weather not being the life or death factor, but just an annoying thing that was constantly there. Like it slows down your movement when it's bad. You can't shoot missiles as effectively. It's just like it's a pain in the ass was kind of the goal that we were shooting for.
I think a few times we had to worry about food, right? That we didn't have enough food. The weather system indirectly impacted our food supply, because if we got stuck in a blizzard for a week, then we were using 7 days worth more rations than we knew. Or if we're only moving at half speed because the weather's really bad, then we're going to use more food than we thought. So it did have an impact on us in that way. But the scavenging for food was only really a factor a couple of times. But if there'd been more of a limit on rations, because we basically just had unlimited rations from the fort, if there had been a harder limit on that, it would have been more difficult for us to find food. I think maybe the impact of the weather might have been felt.
I think that would have gotten really annoying really fast, though.
Yeah, probably as well.
Especially because the survival rules were such a pain to adjudicate.
Mm-hmm.
When we actually did have to forage for food, it was like me doing math as I rolled for the amount of time it took me to do everything.
And I'm glad you're the one that ended up with that. Not that the three of you aren't capable of doing math. You're very fine mathematicians.
Yeah, but I think
Sean, he's got that like young man's brain that just works so much faster.
Yeah, I think that survival proficiency is one that definitely would need to be reworked to just match the timeline of the rest of the mechanic or the rest of the game, right?
In retrospect, I would have liked to do a weather system where I could tell Sean what the exact weather roll was for the day, and he would have some idea of what the weather might be the next day. I would a little bit more of a predictive approach.
That would have been cool. Yeah, and then you kind of like get a feel for what things are going to change to daily, so there's not as much freak like change. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but so if we're gonna redo it, that's what I would do. I would rework the weather system so that your survival proficiency would be more useful, and you could be like, yes, today's a calm day. It'll be at least 3 days before it turns to a blizzard. We should go now, or something. I don't know. Yeah.
On the mechanics questions.
Do you want to hop into something else, Ryan? You had some plans.
Let's just hit the cold warmth system while we're here. So
one question on my. Oh right, sorry, you still talking about cold war? Sorry.
Well, no, we haven't really talked about that yet. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, in hindsight, what do you think about the tattoo system for Yaramir? I thought that was really cool and worked really well.
Yeah, it's a good example of an interesting way to do wizards, right? A different way to do wizards.
Super fucking awesome. And of course, that was sort of the incentive for, how do we say? Greg came up with the tattoo idea before I came up with the like who Greg is and what his role in the party will be. So that was all sort of based off of his genius idea of I cast tattoos off of my body that I have to memorize, which is really great because then you don't have to worry about spell books, and we got to plan out his spell list in advance. I thought that was a pretty solid idea, Greg. I liked it.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Do we have anything on the mechanics? We skipped planning questions. There's like a whole sheet with
we haven't gotten to
we haven't even touched
the thing is well apparently a bunch of them looks like we're already. He's been live up the sheet.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like we're filling it in as we go.
Nice. Say wait, McTucky.
We're doing it.
Oh, here's one that I'm actually kind of interested in. Was William's father-in-law Richard honest about the things he wrote to William?
He never outright lied, but you can lie by emphasizing strength, one thing or another thing, or just admitting this thing or other. So he always told the truth, but he was always sort of like willing to let William die or not die. Like if William succeeds, then all of a sudden he's like head of this really powerful, prominent family.
Right.
And if William dies, then like, oh, he can marry his daughter to someone who's about to win this war from all the wealth that this other guy got, and like now his family's ahead, and he hedged his bets and bet on all the sides.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much what we were.
But he wasn't trying to actively screw me though, right?
No, he was not trying to actively screw you. He wanted you to. Definitely.
It was in his best interest for us to succeed, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he just had alternative plans if things didn't work out.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get to the Q&A, can we do some more mechanic stuff?
Please.
Can you, Neal, can you talk us through your monster populations world map stuff? So I think do we want to pull that up on screen? Do you have that? I think you showed it to Nick and I at the end. I don't know. I don't remember if you showed it to the viewers.
I never saw it.
I'm moving my monster encounter table into the public documents folder, so now everyone can see it. I will paste it in Twitch chat if you want a link to it.
It's much simpler, I think, than it felt as a player.
Yeah.
Is this like a number of how many things are in this area?
No, that's what. So I roll a D100, and whatever you roll is what you encounter. So if you are in Zone 1. At this point in time, and you roll a 92 or lower, you don't fight anything because everything is dead. But if you roll like a 93 through 96, you get some caribou. 97 or 98, you get a polar bear.
But like caribou and a couple polar bears.
There's one polar bear and one wolf pack left in Zone 1. Yes.
We killed everything.
Right, and then like so this tab right here, the rarity input tab. If you're watching this on VOD, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about. Sorry. is just like the number of groups of creatures that are around, and as they die off, I subtract their numbers and then add them to the nothing numbers, and then that's your chance of running into them, and 1 encounter per day.
So is there any creatures that we didn't encounter? A Thanoi?
Those are like goblinoid things, aren't they?
Well, Thanoid, I never actually ended up placing them. They were talking about placing them, but they never got anywhere. Yeah.
Gloomwings? We heard about them.
Yeah, I think you did spot one.
Wings, right?
We saw some, but we didn't encounter them.
Yeah.
What are they? Are they like bats?
They're like giant maws with confusion spells that they confuse their enemies and then grab them and fly away with them. I think you fought one or saw one and shot it with.
We saw them, but
I think a kobold told us about them. I don't think we ever actually saw one.
No,
maybe.
I remember seeing them flying overhead.
Oh, okay. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think it might have been like a resting montage where he described some of them flying in the distance, but we didn't really have a chance to. So what are the different letters on the map? Are those do those trigger encounters, or is that just territory for you to know?
That would be home bases for things.
Okay.
So like this, there's a group of kobolds. Like I know there's 3 groups of kobolds in zone 3A, which is like everything left of this purple line, right? And so those 3 groups of kobolds have their bases in these 3 places. And then I have another document telling me like in zone 3A, there's these 3 groups of kobolds. Here's their leader. Here's how many people are in their groups. Here's how many this and that they've got. And so that way I would just like know where their home bases were. And
is the W a winter wolf?
Yes. FG is frost giant. Dragon is dragon.
Yeah. So the dragons didn't have much to do with the scrags or with the narrative. They were kind of just
opportunists. Yeah, they showed up and made homes here and chilled.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting because we kind of, as we were playing, I wasn't sure. I thought the dragons might be the end game campaign, but they were just kind of an end game distraction.
Well, I felt like this campaign had a lot of room to go. Like you guys they could have summoned more scrags and like woken them from stasis, and this could have turned into like a long guerrilla warfare where the 4 of you were like trying to hunt down scrags one at a time and assassinate them and snipe them from a distance, and then you like kill all the dragons getting their loot, and then you have this like epic top tier gear and you're all level 15 battling level 15 scrags. It could have gone that way, but it didn't.
Yeah.
What kind of loot was in Frostbite's lair?
I hadn't rolled it, hadn't figured it out yet.
Some crazy epic shit though.
Yeah. Even some of the other layers where there was loot, I was like, I'm not ready for you guys to be here. I'm not ready to tell you what loot is here. Oh shit. And that's why I sort of like slow rolled it over a session. It was because I was like looking for loot as you guys were adventuring. It's like, oh, let's talk about it the next day. You get this next item.
When you was it like a deliberate move to try and like create a higher like power of magic items in this campaign, because it felt like you were giving out much stronger tools than what you usually do in your campaigns?
I think it was a trick because there were also much lower powered magic items. He set the bar set the for the beginning of the campaign.
Okay, but in Hardcore Heroes we had like saw a +3 sword until somebody murdered Tyrus Bellows and took his +5 platinum sword.
Wait, someone killed? How did Tyrus Bellows die in? He's in Heroes Graveyard too?
No, in Hardcore Heroes.
Oh, Hardcore Heroes. Oh, yeah.
Like, because I mean, we got like magic armor, which I know because somebody told me that you specifically like rolled magic armor during Hardcore Heroes and said, "Oh, fuck that," and then re-rolled it.
I don't remember that, but that sounds like something that happened.
Yeah, you got like magic plate mail. And then you said, "Oh, screw this," and you re-rolled it and got like a potion of plant control and said, "Oh yeah, that's perfect." That, right there.
That sounds like me. Yeah.
Much better.
I felt like it was appropriate to give better gear here, and I've been sort of changing the way I think of magic items in general, and I liked how this worked out. I especially really enjoyed the gifting of magic items through gods, and I think I want to do a lot more magic item distribution through gods and goddesses in the future. Specifically, you guys gave Bellum a shit ton of magic scrag swords, so now he has a shit ton of magic scrag swords to give out to people in other campaigns for whatever little things he wants to do here or there.
Oh, that's cool. So people can get +1 swords now off the back of that.
Yeah, anything
Praise
that you gave
Bellum.
anything you gave to Bellum, he can give away now.
He is flush right now.
Yeah.
Definitely worshipping Bellum in any future.
Yeah, get yourself a Scrag sword right away.
Set a game for that +1 sword, Nick. Do it.
I would imagine the action you made this campaign means that all your future characters can start with +1 Scrag sword.
Yeah.
But only if they worship Bellum.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's like it's the first order of business. Every new character, I go down to the temple and pray to Bellum really fast. Let me just grab a new sword real quick.
Here's your Scrag sword. Start your quest.
It seems fairly. I mean, I'd be cool with that. All right, you're a level 1 cleric of Bellum. Here, have a +1 elven sword.
I'm down with that. Yeah,
I like it.
Assuming they get on their knees and grovel before the gods appropriately.
Right. And if you stop groveling enough, then Bellum comes and kicks your ass.
Or that. On this on the Caledonian map, is there anything south of this mountain range? There's no. I don't see any like monsters noted. There would still be random encounters, I assume.
Yeah, I have another map that has some more detail that I never moved to this.
Okay, so there is stuff down there.
Yeah,
is there anything important that we missed down there?
Let me open up Photoshop and bring up my map.
Where was the entrance to the last volcano? We spent ages looking for that and couldn't find it. Was it on the other side of the mountains?
Didn't you? What do you mean? You left through it. You exited it.
No. We only went to 3 of the 4 volcanoes.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
The 4th one was when where the snowflake was. Gale.
Nobody knows. We had the same thing in Heroes Graveyard where we were like, where the fuck are all these volcano entrances? And we went to one of the 4. That's all we had to do.
Oh, really?
I mean, I didn't have it marked on the map anywhere.
You were just rolling for us and we kept missing it or something? There is a volcano there, though.
Yeah. Something to that effect. I don't remember the exact detail, but...
Well, there is a volcano, definitely, because, Grimes, you saw it exploding as you were trying to carry me out of the cave at the end. Remember you were going to go down that one passage and there was an explosion, so you went down the other way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where the hell is my map?
Would it have ever been possible... I mean, I guess this is a question of mechanics. Would it have ever been possible to secure the help of the gnolls or the giants?
Yes. I mean, you did secure the help of the giants. They did what they could for you. They can't fight Scrags. They're literally too big. And they don't want to fight dragons. But they
we had
totally
the amulets of shrinkage. I would have shrunk a giant to help us fight the Scrags. That was my plan.
Then maybe.
Damn it.
Maybe.
Sweet. What about the gnolls? It felt like we tried a lot to get through to the gnolls, and then they just...
You didn't make very good first impression.
You tried like one time, and it didn't go well, and they're sort of violent creatures to begin with, and every time they showed like the slightest violence, you're like, well, time to kill them then. Like...
I gave them so many tinderboxes, Neal. I don't know. I try and roleplay these things with the gifting of tinderboxes, and what does it get me?
Well, so what are these swamps south of the mountains?
The gnolls and the kobolds. I would have really appreciated if they were essentially the only monsters we ever met. We met giants at one point. We met Scrags, but we ran into maybe a couple winter wolves, maybe a slime here or there. But 95% of our encounters are kobolds and gnolls. I, as a player, would have really appreciated just some mindless fucking like zomboids or something to slaughter.
Because every encounter was this moral quandary, right?
It was really grating to have to sit and play moral compass every single second.
Yeah.
Of every single
it's hard to make you care about it when it comes up every time.
Yeah. I might have been a little heavy with that.
What about the weird pit of death inside Valthara's temple? What was going on?
Yeah. So just a cool encounter.
Yeah, just a cool undead monster. Another one of those like souls that are restless and angry and possessed and
yeah. What are the swamps, Neal? Is there anything significant there?
They're just swamps that were in Caledonia before it froze over, and I think this swamp down here has something in it. I'm still looking for my fucking notes. And I don't know what happened to my map with my notes on it.
Do you know what would have been a sick boss level creature, right? And it's kind of like Lord of the Rings, but a huge ice spider that built its web like across mountains. Like imagine seeing that shit on the side of a mountain. That would have been sweet. I
still think the best spider enemy in the game is the sword spider, the one that just has swords for legs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I made players fight that once. It was my favorite monster that I've ever used. That thing is so stupid in all the best ways.
Just get 8 long sword attacks or something?
Yeah, so basically it leaps at them and it can make 1 attack. So it can lunge from like, I think like 90 feet out. It can literally just like leap at you and attack. And when it does that, it gets 1 attack per leg. So we can just make 8 attacks right off the bat. It's great. It's awesome.
Regarding swamps, over in this swamp was a Cyro Hydra. That's a cold breathing Hydra.
Which swamp?
This one over here that I'm picking. Let me try and drag you to it.
Hydra.
Okay, yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a particular loot or location there to explore, or was it just a monster?
I just have notes that there was a cool monster there. I tended not to bother rolling loot or figuring those things out until the party's like right about to get there.
Yeah.
I try and leave everything to the last moment.
Any other interesting monsters or encounters that we missed?
No. I was ready to start populating the south side with monsters should you have gone there. But
my reaction when Caledonia got explored was, holy crap, this thing is huge. There was no way we're going to get through all this. We're going to be doing this for another 100 episodes. But it seemed like most of the action was on the top.
Because this is the good side, right? This is where all the
humans.
You've got access to all the mountains and all the rivers and everything, and this backside of it is just kind of a bitch because it's so far from everything. So
yeah,
I got really worried when you guys started like taking a boat to explore this backside. I'm like, I know they want to go there, but there's like the story isn't there. There's no story on that side. Shit.
It makes sense though, because I was thinking about it. The humans would never colonize that side of the island though, because they'd be completely cut off by the giant forest from the other humans, and the Scrags would have just slaughtered them. So there's no point ever building anything over there.
Yeah. At first, when we first saw it revealed, though, I thought, oh no, we're gonna have to. There's a whole other half of the island, and there's probably gonna be something over there that's critical to the story moving forward. So.
What about New Haven? We sort of visited it once, got attacked by a werewolf.
Yep. What about it?
And left. Was there anything else there that we missed, or
no?
Was that kind of just
that
like a
dead
town?
All right.
Just another dead town.
All right. One last mechanics question. What do we all think of my abomination of a warmth system? How did that fit in the campaign? Did it serve its needs? What would you do differently?
It wasn't. It didn't hurt the campaign, but I think Neal has the right idea by just kind of scrapping it, because it did become very irrelevant very fast.
Along the same lines as the encumbrance became irrelevant, I think.
I think cold became less of a factor much quicker.
At no point. Sorry, Greg.
Go for it.
No.
I think that it fits a different style campaign better than a adventure campaign. For 5 heroes go adventure and bring back some loot and fight the evil Scrags. I think it was too granular to really be usable, right? To be something that we worked on and thought about every time we adventured, because the story was a very macro level, and distances and days and even things like carrying capacity became very relevant very quickly, like as early on as like session 1 or 2. And so I think if you were to port this system to a campaign that was very much a do what you have to do to survive every single day, right? There was no survival role to get more food. You had to campaign to get food, right? Your adventure for that day was to get the rations you needed, to go get the coal you needed, or go get. I think in a system like that, or in a campaign like that was very much tightly focused around the survival aspect, I think the system you made not only works, but is very good for that, because it allows for a DM to track it, for the player to track it and know how long and how effective they can be adventuring for what they need that day. They can gauge risks they want to take based off of it. But it also allows you to port that into other things. Monsters, weather, can make like attacks to it. It could be like an AC or a health for you. So I thought it would, I think it was a quality system. I think it is well thought out. I think it needs testing in a more focused granular.
Yeah. What I would want the takeaway to be to viewers, maybe DMs in the audience, is just how easy it is to hack on another resource, right? So for all of its flaws, right? But it was basically just like another HP bar, you got your warmth bar in addition to your HP bar. And we can talk about how it would have been better to calculate it or something like that. And in the same way with Neal's new necromancy system, he's basically, okay, here's your life force bar, which is based on your years of life, or like, here's how a soul is now a new resource.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to mechanize. Okay, here's I don't know.
Do you think that
another resource to manage that's relevant for the flavor of the particular campaign?
Yeah.
For the cold system, we never really ran into a situation where we were getting negative bonuses to our attacks, or
no, we never let it get to the point.
Spell failure. But I wonder if rather than tracking it on a daily basis, what if it had been like, depending on how good your gear was, maybe you incurred those penalties after so many days without being in a cave or in the fort. So if we were like walking for 3 weeks without stopping anywhere, maybe.
But you stop every night and make a fire in your tent, right? So
yeah, but that's not really substitute for being inside.
How's it? Isn't it? Isn't that the point of a tent with a fire in it? Is to be a substitute for inside? Isn't that how the Mongolians?
I haven't done much camping in the snow, but yeah, maybe maybe it's perfectly fine if you spend the night in a tent.
I think more important though than simulating realism is encouraging the behavior you want to see and making the environment of the campaign. So more important than it actually simulating what it's like to be in the cold, making you play your characters as if, they're managing scarce resources, or, bogging down the campaign with logistics because you want it to feel like this trudge through the tundra. Those sorts of feelings I think are more important than trying to make your game simulationist, because you're never going to simulate a whole reality.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And if you did, it would be terrible. It would be an awful game.
That's how I kind of feel about Red Dead Redemption 2. It's like, I don't really want to have to worry about my horse. Like, I just want to ride the horse. I was playing that for a bit, and then I played Breath of the Wild, and I was like, it's simpler, but it's just a much more enjoyable gaming experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if I were to do the warmth thing again, I would try and find a way to simplify it, because it wound up not particularly mattering whether you had 22 or 20 warmth. Like the min-maxing didn't matter. I think maybe even just going straight to your stat drain might have been the way to go. Just be like, okay, it's been a day in a blizzard or an hour in a blizzard. Everyone gets -1 con until you can get some warmth.
Yeah, but you guys were like, blizzard, let's settle down. So
I'm kind of with Greg on the idea of like,
great.
It would have worked much better in a campaign focused solely on survival.
Yeah, that points were well taken there.
It's like you have a warmth stat, and then taking penalties to it is like you can get sick or frostbite or like some sort of non-just. And I think I think we didn't know what the campaign was going to be like before you played it out. We played it out, right?
When you guys were discussing it with me, I thought it was going to be a very survival focused.
I did too.
Yeah. Like I thought we were going to be like learning how to survive out here, like, and maybe there were some treasures that we dug up along the way. Right. I didn't expect it to be.
And I wanted I don't know if it quite succeeded here, but I wanted it to make mundane items more interesting or impactful. Like having your fur coat be a treasured item that has some mechanical bonus, right? There's got to be some mechanical reason to keep it around. Otherwise, why would you record that you've got a fur coat other than 5 pounds of clothes? And I don't think we quite made that. But anyway.
For a system that we sort of threw together without testing it at all, and then meshed it with a weather system that wasn't built in at the same time in complement of one another, I think it worked out great in the end for what we needed.
With that. Right. I could see a situation where the weather system could have very heavily impacted the cold boss.
Yeah.
Beyond just it costs 4 an hour.
But I think Neal had a different vision. Like Neal wasn't going for the gritty survival hour by hour. You're withering away. Can you find the squirrel before you lose your last warmth point? A much grander vision.
Yeah.
All right.
Are we done with mechanics questions? I think so.
Yeah. Are we done with our discussion? Should we jump over to the Q&A now?
Anyone else have anything?
Anyone else have anything to say before we turn it over to
Q&A and then jump back if we ever need to?
Sure.
Well, sure. Yeah. But
Nick, you have one thing you want to say.
Laser-focused people. We tend to
I was just going to ask Neal, when the campaign started, how much of the end game stuff did you already have in mind? And how much did the final battle look like what you expected?
There was no final battle written down for the longest of times because I didn't know how the campaign was going to end. I had sort of an idea that like there's this history, there's these scrags, there's these things, And then I didn't really work it out until you guys got to like somewhere around zone 2. And then I sat down one day and like wrote out the history of Caledonia and sort of set it softly in stone, set it in clay. And then as the campaign kept going, I kept going back and revising things. I'm like, well, actually, maybe we should change this. And like, this plot point no longer seems relevant. We don't. Initially, there was like you guys return to the mainland with some information, like Havoc, go back to home, check some things out. Maybe William gets some plate mail or something, and then you would come back to Caledonia. And that plot point got scrapped, and a few other ones got scrapped, and some other ones got added in. So it was the story was a living document that kept changing as it was going.
What about the ending? You know, Grimes dragging William out and us surviving. Was that your preferred ending, or would you have liked us to get dragged into the orb?
I wanted you to get dragged into the orb. Yes, I wanted you to get sucked inside and like have everything get teleported away. The ending I initially wrote was assuming that William would die fighting the Scrags, because William always charges in and fights to the death, and that Grimes would somehow sneak his way to victory using subterfuge and stealth, which almost worked, which sort of is how it played out. And then Grimes would get sucked in through the orb, and everything would happen, and he'd find himself like on a mountaintop in Caledonia in Gale's lair. What's the one dragon that's alive?
Snowflake?
Frostbite and Gale.
Gale. In Gale's lair. In Gale's lair on top of the mountain, like watching Caledonia, like watching rain come down and everything soften. And then like seeing the dragon's loot, and then having the dragon show up and like poke his head in. And that was in my desired end game.
If you had been playing with yourself.
Right.
If he'd have got sucked into the orb, though, would he have not been killed?
It would have put my character entirely at Neal's mercy.
Yeah,
just the way he wants it.
But the whole
where does
like
the orb lead?
it doesn't necessarily they'd open
to DM hacks to the plane of bears.
Sort of, yeah, but it also kind of leads to the void to kind of just like draw in all the heat from Caledonia and sweep it away.
Yeah.
And then as it's
cool if he like was on the mountaintop while the island was like not yet in Faerun. He was like watching it swirl through the void.
Oh, that would have been sick.
Cool closing image.
Yeah. I like the idea of Grimes finally by himself with the whole dragon's loot, Dragon's Lair 2 loot, and then the dragon shows up and the dragon says something to him like, "What are you doing in my house?" And then like Grimes can speak to a dragon, and then we kind of like end game on, well, does Grimes live? Does he die? Does he conquer the dragon? And that was my
he desire. And the dragon become best friends forever.
It could be.
He now gets a dragon girlfriend.
Yeah,
that's how we learned to speak dragon.
I've got a Caledonian girlfriend, but she like never comes down here, you know. All right, questions from the Q&A?
All right, let's do it.
Does anyone have anything that they've wanted to? Have any of you been looking at this and have things you want to pull out?
I haven't looked at the document at all.
I've taken a quick look.
Okay,
Nick, who did you enjoy playing more, Kel, William, Marshall, or Malachi?
Malachi.
Oh.
What
happened to the elves from Ferris's flashback? Did Ferris kill them? I have no idea.
I think it's slightly the. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think partly the fact that there was a lot more NPCs in Hardcore Heroes just made it more enjoyable.
Yeah, there was a lot more intrigue going on in that one.
Mm-hmm.
And a wizard's just more fun than a fighter, to be honest.
The
fighting
sure I agree with you there.
But without NPCs, I feel like because I had this idea of like William being like this like honorable fighter who, you know, has all these allegiances to oaths that he's made, but because there was no NPCs really to work with, that kind of became irrelevant mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think if William had been in Sulwick for the entire campaign, that I could have made that a bigger part of his character, but it was hard to. Didn't always have a chance to display that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I did a poor job of this because I was just bad at life at the time. But I was trying to make that a part of our story. And when I was butting heads with William, because you were this very like honorable, oath-bound fighter, and I think Yarmir was very much against the idea of oaths and binding. And I thought there would be more. I don't know. I thought that would be a dynamic that we could explore as kind of like an inter-party thing to make up for the ability to bounce that off of. It was an idea I had that I thought I still think is a good idea. I executed very, very, very poorly.
I think
that would be something I would change.
Do you know what I mean? Like it came to a head too quickly. It too quickly got to the point where it's either I can't adventure with them anymore, or
we went from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah. Saw a question I wanted to ask.
I've got a quick one. Well, maybe that I saw in chat, and it looks like it's popped up in the document now. What was that magic fire sphere in the King's Tomb? Was that anything special, or was it just guarding the King's Tomb?
It was just guarding the King's Tomb.
Yeah. We talked about this before. It was like a weird spell that a wizard cast so that nobody would rob this worthless grave.
Okay, but the fact that it was fire wasn't meant to be anything significant.
No, it was just to keep grave robbers away. Yeah.
Why did they move the tomb? Was that because the Scrags burnt down Saltport?
No, it was like a big fuck you. It's like, oh, we had to bury this king here, but now we've conquered so much that we're going to take your goddamn sacred mountains and we're going to put our biggest, bestest king in your mountains as like we own this place now. Fuck you, Scrags. It's an offensive teabagging. Yeah.
I like it. I like that.
Yeah.
So the Caledonians confirmed 12-year-olds on Xbox Live.
Absolutely. Yes. What happens to William's harpoon? It's just gone forever.
The Scrags took it, right?
Did the Scrags think it was a magic item and say like, this is...
It's obviously been transferred to Faerun, right? And it dipped through the void, and it is now the legendary harpoon of William +5.
It's the Vorpal harpoon.
To call down the wrath of God, right? It will summon the Avatar of War once a year, right? If you tune to it.
Yeah.
If you throw it at someone and it hits them, William appears, pulls it out, and then kills them.
And then steals your wife and then leaves.
Here's one that I'm curious about, mostly because I'm curious if Neal did anything with this. Did Ferris's mother know about the Scrags? Is she alive? Where did she go? I don't know anything about this. I don't really think too much about backstories. I like to define characters mostly in play. But I'm curious if Neal did anything with this, or if he just kind of like had it as a thing, like we could flesh this out later, but I've done nothing with this.
Mostly that.
Okay.
But you had said that you had the story where your mom was from Caledonia and your people were from Caledonia.
Yeah. Well, originally we were going to have me be like an actual elf, but then he didn't really want like an actual elf, so we settled on a half elf.
Yeah. And then I was still like, I don't know, making him come from Caledonia, that's like so intertwined with the storyline. I don't know if I can handle that. That's oh my god. And it ended up working out, and in my head, Ferris's mom is a Caledonian elf, and he would be returning home, and they would have been willing to like bring him into the fold to fight the humans.
Yeah. Knowing more about the Scrags, I don't think Ferris ever would have turned to help them. They were thoroughly terrible people, and Ferris was not like a good person, but he did have a like moral compass that was not twisted and evil like theirs.
Yeah.
Speaking of moral compasses on characters, if we ever get the chance to play again, Neal,
I hope we do. By the way,
me too. I want so badly to play a good character. Can we make that happen? I was the villain of Hardcore Heroes Season 1. I was the biggest jerkosaurus at Frozen Frontier. I want to be a good guy. I want to be a hero.
What do these characters that you make say about you, Greg?
I don't want to psychoanalyze my demon.
You can't go down that road.
It's hard to be good in Neal's campaigns. It's like one of the biggest challenges. Like I tried to play Van Helsing pretty good, but like it's hard to make it through without slipping.
And maybe I do that a little bit too much, but I try and make the good path be the more difficult route, the one where you have to like make sacrifices that don't really give you any benefit in order to be a good person.
That's because that's what it is, right? It's not. I mean, being evil is it's taking the easy route. It's harming people for advantage to yourself. If it was just as easy to be good as evil, I think most people would be good.
Yeah, I actually don't mind it for the most part. If there's one point where the general evilness of the world does start to grate on me, it feels like everyone is completely self-interested and people don't really have values or feelings a lot of the time. Like NPCs across all of Arcadia are massive jerkasses, and it's very hard to find someone who is not like just completely thoroughly awful.
They are around, but they are few and far between.
Yeah. And if there was one complaint I have, it maybe goes a little bit too far on that scale.
But is it just because they hate player characters? It's like, look, it's a fucking PC again.
That's why I like Darth so much, and I wanted him to stick around because he was he was that breath of fresh air of like, hey, it's an actual good person.
Have Darth and Joris survived the demon invasion, Neal?
I haven't decided yet. Okay. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Mm-hmm. I find that when I do give out, like when there are NPCs who are really good, I find that players tend to lean on them to solve their problems. And so my reaction is just like, well, NPCs will cause chaos that the player characters have to fix. And maybe I go down that road. It's the other way around,
isn't it? Yeah. PCs bringing in the chaos.
I feel like we're getting there a little bit more with what we set up in Hardcore Heroes, like those two clerics who are now willing to help out Van and Malachi. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're kind of getting into that state of like NPCs are good, but they have a very specific use case that they're useful for.
Yeah. You got to like work with them in their areas, perhaps.
And Jeeves, right? Jeeves was the best.
Jeeves was an all-timer.
And Nimrod as well. Nimrod was a good guy. He didn't do anything bad, really.
Yeah.
Nope. What happened to Nimrod and the dogs?
Yeah, the dogs
are still around. Are the dogs okay?
Oh yeah, totally. So Nimrod brings his dogs back. Everyone's like, "Oh wow, what's going on?" The former kobold pack leader, whatever, tries to again assert his dominance over Nimrod, who's tasted freedom and who's brought these like dogs with him. It doesn't go well. Nimrod rips him to shred with his new wolf pack, becomes the leader of his kobold section, and that's as far as I figured it out. But
so has he like sick the dogs on the kobold? King.
Yes.
That's badass.
My imagination is like Nimrod riding around on dogs with spears and like a little like mounted kobold troop cruising in the north of Caledonia.
That's awesome. I like that.
All right.
Okay.
I'm working down the Q&A. So down to the planning questions. What was the biggest plot hook that we missed? Or would that just have been the eavesdropping scene?
That dialogue, it's definitely the biggest plot point that got missed. And it's probably the only plot point that got missed. I mean, no. Yeah. Yarmir and Ferris being around to uncover more about elves and scrags would have been really useful.
Yeah.
Any cool, weird, interesting things in the unexplored regions of Caledonia that we missed out on?
We already talked about this, the Cyclo...
Cyro Hydra, Cryo Hydra.
Cryo,
that's the word.
Hydra.
Okay, Thank you, Greg.
Okay, this is, I guess, maybe some insight into DMing, but do you want to give us a timeline of how much of the campaign planning is done at character creation? What parts of the lore were done ahead of time versus a reaction to the PC's idea?
Yeah, so at character creation, I had no idea. I didn't know anything. I was too lazy to plan anything.
So you're saying you stole all of the ideas for this campaign based off of Yarmir and Ferris and the
and Grimes. Yeah, like you guys made your characters, and then I built a campaign world around that.
That's how you want to do it, right? You have like a basic promise, and everyone makes their characters, and then you figure out where to go from there.
Yeah.
How early did you decide to make me a amalgamation of human souls?
I sort of was playing with that idea back and forth pretty early on, but it was sort of like, oh, that would be a cool idea, but I don't think that would work. That's probably never going to work. And then
it was an odd thing to experience as a player, because I kind of came up with this idea as a concept, right, for a player character, and we were working together on it. And then like as I kept playing it, like my vision of what I was playing and what I was learning about my character were kind of butting heads. And so it wasn't bad. It was interesting. But it was interesting to me to learn, right? I was like learning things about myself as I went.
But that's good, right? Because that's what Yarmir himself obviously didn't realize. That he was god.
It was good. As a player, it was a little bit off. Not off-putting. That's the wrong term. I was left on the wrong foot, I guess, a number of times during like role play scenes. Like especially between like myself and Neal. I feel like I would be attempting to go one direction, and Neal's like, no, we're gonna go over here. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting and a really fun dynamic to try and play the metagame with Greg. We're like, he's talking and I'm talking, but clearly we're both thinking about something else and trying to be like, where is Greg going with this? And like, I'll go over here. Oh, but he wanted to go over there. Okay, I'll go over here. And then like, I get to write Greg's story and make him like not really a person. And then he's like making magic that doesn't really exist and like creating spells I didn't give him. And it's this sort of like weird meta interplay that was really fun. And it was kind of like,
scary.
Okay, can I do this to his character? I think so.
But you know what? I was worried that every future wizard going forward now would be trying to do the same sort of thing. But maybe all of that only really worked because Yaramir was so inherently powerful because of the way he was created. You know, like if Malachi or some other wizard starts trying to do the same thing, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah. To a more specific question to more specific answer to your initial question, the first time you started hearing voices was when I'm like, let's do it. He's an amalgam. And then I promptly forgot about it for like 3 sessions. Like, shit, why did he hear voices? What the fuck? Who was talking to him? And then I had to refigure it out again. Yeah.
Here's something I'm curious about. I remember that a Kuban war party attacked Fort Wick.
Oh, yeah.
And what I remember is Yaramir used a spell on one of them to like scry into his brain and saw another wizard.
Yeah.
What was up with that?
So that...
Spoilers.
Hold on,
don't want to tell us.
Let me...
Look at the dates. Would that not have already happened by now?
Maybe. Hold on. Find a fucking calendar here.
For the answer to this question, tune into a Kuban night.
So other countries heard about what was going on in Caledonia, and some of them wanted a piece of the action. And so a group of people was dispatched to take over the fort and get a piece of the action. And there were a group of wizards standing behind them, watching, scrying through them. I don't remember. Did they have a specific... Maybe there was something on them or like a marking or something that allowed the wizards to scry through them. There was some sort of magic set up ahead of time.
I think it was like in their brain or something.
I don't remember what it was exactly, but I figured it out at the time.
Didn't go well for them though, did it?
It didn't. And they knew very well that like there was no going back. It's you conquer Caledonia or you die and we make your family's lives horrible and miserable if you like give up partway through because you're being scried upon and watched.
Like a bad place. Was that always going to happen while we were there, or could that have happened while we were out?
Could we have come back to the like in a Kuban fort?
I feel like they would have won if we hadn't been there.
I believe it could have happened if you guys were not there. I think the possibility was that you come back to an Akuban fort or like come back to a siege or on the fort or something. I don't remember the specific details.
Yeah.
A siege would have been cool. Like breaking a siege seems like a really fun.
I like the idea of there just being like this week-long siege that's been going on, and the party just like swoops in and just starts annihilating people.
Yeah.
So wait, who were these Akubans? Who were they sent by? Like maybe to tie into Akuban politics, or do you not want to reveal stuff there?
I'm not ready to say the origin of this raiding party.
All right. The Q&A note says the wizards were keeping watch, working for the Akuban government.
Well, that's just a classic miscommunication and misunderstanding.
I'm sure they were working directly for the PCs.
Yeah.
It's honestly just fascinating watching this document get updated as we talk about it.
It's great. Actually, I want to change my answer about who the MVP is. I think it's McTuckey.
This is
I don't know if Evan still watches anymore, but if anyone remembers Evan from Hardcore Heroes, this guy knew everything, and I was like, yeah, this guy knows everything. How is he so clued up? McTuckey's putting him to shame. The whole Wikipedia thing is...
But we know how McTuckey's
next level.
He's writing all the shit down.
Yeah.
Evan did a good-ass job, though. He's literally everything.
Yeah.
There's a reason McTacky is our only MVP member in chat. Or VIP member in chat. The only one with it. Yeah. All right, next question.
Oh, wait. You should, on Reddit, you should give McTacky a little thing that says, like, librarian or something.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Keeper of the archives.
Yeah.
You're welcome, McTuckey.
Oh, that's solid. Okay.
Master
why are there no birds in Caledonia?
There are. Just look at the splash screen.
Once upon a time, I had a solid reasoning for that, and then I forgot what my reasoning was, and now I have no idea. I can't answer this question.
Glad you chose that hill to die on.
There was a good reason at the time for it.
Why no birds in Caltonia? Neal forgets. Oh, that's great.
Hashtag fish memory.
They can't survive the cold, maybe. Right, they just all died.
I don't know. There was I don't know. Maybe it was something about making food scarcer, so Ferris couldn't just eat things all the time. I don't remember, man.
All right, what else have we got here then? What was making the salt mine magically warm? Could Yaramir have learned to do the same? Was it still warm?
The salt mine was protected from scrags and scrag magic with human magic, and Gorn was placed in it to attack elves that approached, which is why it went after Ferris. And you guys at the time were like, oh, did it go after the elf in the party? Maybe it's an anti-elf ward. And I'm like, fuck. They figured it out. They instantly figured it out. And then I tried to hide it and obfuscate it for a while.
We ended up thinking it was just non-human, though.
Yeah.
I think. Because it said something in the diary about should defend us from the gnolls, right? No, scrags. It did say scrags, but we thought scrags meant gnolls.
But we thought the scrags were gnolls at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I'm curious. Why did that one giant team up with the gnolls?
Yeah.
The gnolls had helped out the giants with a thing. Hold on, look at my giant history document. There was a thing where the giants were fighting one of the dragons a while ago, and one of the giants had owed the gnolls a favor. Let's see, the giant's name was Bertha.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioned the young giants were a lot more like hot-headed and passionate, and they would like get themselves wrapped into all kinds of weird trouble.
Yeah.
Boisterous.
Shit. Where is my giant history document? If I can't find this document, I can't tell you what the course was, but there was some sort of like they had worked together in the past and there had been some allegiance owed, and so she was serving out her service, her time as like guardian of their fort. Yeah.
The next question on the list is, what was the thing or who that destroyed the original tower which had all the books in the basement? I think that was just the dragon, right? That was just Frostbite landing on the...
Yeah, just dragons landing on it for thousands of years. 1,500 years, yeah.
And then the next three are from McTacky himself, I believe.
I think we can knock all these out in one, right? This is the Queen's coronation, the 4 people in the dungeon.
Well, why were people fleeing away from Belmontarius's monastery in the mountains? I think that might be from Mistclick Seabourn.
Yeah, it is. So they're in the mountains, chilling in their temple. All of a sudden it gets fucking freezing, and they're like, I don't know why it's cold, but we're in the mountains, so let's go down to the low ground where maybe it's not so cold. And so they try and like leave the mountain, but freeze to death on the way.
Why was the initial burst of cold so much colder than it eventually ended up being? Because we didn't just freeze to death the second we went outside, whereas it seemed like the people who left the salt mine immediately froze.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a blast that froze everything.
Right, so they didn't like hard freeze like ice. There was like a magical component to the cold that specifically targeted and murdered humans. So it was sort of not quite like you just turned into a popsicle, but like you're being like killed by this cold thing, and it just sort of sits on the out. It was like a magical cold, right? It wasn't just like regular freezing to death.
Yeah, it was an attack as much as a freeze.
But what that effect wore off after some time.
Like that's a big burst that goes out and kills everything, and then it just it fades and dissipates, but they're still frozen in place.
Yeah.
I think that's why they all turned to pus afterwards as well, because they had been like destroyed by the cold blast.
Right, and then like their insides had just been like melted and liquefied because they were. Yeah.
So if we had frozen to death, we would not have ever gooped because we never got hit. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So was there anything special about the last queen's coronation? Where was that? Was it done in secret or something?
No, it was done in Conquest, and in public. And she was going to be, she's like a badass spellcaster who was going to come and be in charge. And she was the one who was organizing the creation of Yaramir. And so as the Scrags are learning that this is going to be happening, they're working tirelessly to like get the orb to the next power level to overwhelm the humans and kill everything. And then those two events happen to coincide.
And the 4 people in Thelmontarius's dungeon, that was Queen D.
That was Queen D's daughter.
Queen D's daughter?
Yeah, and like her handmaiden and a wizard and a knight to keep her safe. Yeah. Okay. Everything gets cold and like, take the princess, send her to like keep her safe. And so they go down to the dungeons. And,
that wasn't a ritual. That was just them trying to protect the princess.
They were just trying to save her. And that's why they had the like orb, the dome over her. What spell did you have? Tiny hut. Yeah. Tiny hut. They used like the tiny hut to keep the cold at bay for a few days until the wizard couldn't memorize spells fast enough. And then, he didn't keep it going and they froze to death and died. Yeah.
Why was the Orb of Imprisonment in Caledonia and not Arcadia? I think that's from another campaign as well that I haven't seen.
Yeah, it's from Misclicks. I don't know. Why is Nick in England and not in Japan?
Good point.
I've got a little bit of Heroes Graveyard crossover that I'm curious about now because I see it in the document. Is Hagatha from Heroes Graveyard from Arcadia? Was she a Scrag in disguise?
No, but I would love to find a way to bring her to Arcadia because I really enjoyed Hagatha. She's super cool.
she was good. And then was Dendron a pre-freeze wizard? What's Dendron's whole deal? Because his thing was around for a long time, right? Dendron? But that island was newly appeared in Faerun.
Dendron? Who the fuck is Dendron?
Dendron Dread Knight, the
wizard quest giver.
He was the one with like the tower where you had to like know his name.
Oh, right. Yeah, so he's just a regular Caledonian dude. He's like a Caledonian wizard of much. Yeah. He's a Caledonian wizard of much repute who was sort of playing both humans and Scrags against each other.
So we could have found his tower.
Yeah, theoretically.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was around.
So this guy survived the freeze?
No.
Oh, so he froze in his tower.
Yeah,
or died before that or something.
Yeah, he either died or took off. Yeah, he never made an appearance, but his shit was around.
He was dead in Heroes Graveyard. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, he was long dead. His tower was around, and we had to like learn his name to get deeper in, and then we killed his ghost daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe that was his tower that the Gnolls were on.
That was one of his towers, maybe. He had a few scattered around the place.
Mm-hmm.
Were any of the ghosts particular NPCs or special in any way?
I didn't name them, but many of the ghosts were noble dead that, died horribly and never got the revenge.
Fucking
ghosts. Hookers, yes, and prostitutes.
What did the queen have a ghost somewhere?
No.
No?
Well, she kind of gave up her soul to become part of Yaramir, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Yaramir, there was that Mad Knight who was like addressing everyone as weird things, but then a few other people also addressed Yaramir as Your Highness or Your Majesty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's because he's got queen souls in him.
Yeah.
And king souls in him.
Oh. What about that bottomless pit?
Fucking a 50-foot pit with darkness cast at the bottom of it, and then spikes
we just
and silent
in the other
spells.
spot, and that's what got me thinking that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Did Bokassa die? I remember they bailed him out on a stretcher after we almost killed him, and then I couldn't quite shoot him while they were getting away.
He died. Yes, he died of his wounds. They didn't get to him to safety, but they desperately tried to. And I wanted to obfuscate that as well, to leave it as a possibility that he might be alive and come back. But he was dead. He was definitely dead.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys got him. Good job.
Goddamn Gnolls.
Wow, we've gone through most of this document.
Yeah. Were these skitter snaps from Heroes Graveyard, were they Caledonian, or was that just custom for Heroes Graveyard?
They're made by Dendron, so they're monsters that are around, but they're like wizard creations. So they're not.
They weren't in Frofro.
I didn't have any plans for them to be anywhere.
Thank God, because those things were terrible. They did D20 damage. It was the worst.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Neal mentioned this off stream. There was nothing special in Verassi's hand. It was just the asset just had a hand sticking out, so he described it as having a hand sticking out, and
everyone's like, "What's in the hand?" I'm like, "It's a fucking statue. I don't know. It's like a rock."
Bellman Volthara's dynamic, but nah.
What is Pink Team Gnoll leader from the Saltport battle up to these days?
Was she the one that retreated and survived the battle?
I suppose. I don't remember, but if she lived, she's in charge.
She's the queen in the north now.
Yeah.
Is she not the one that her entire squad spent the whole encounter trying to climb up that wall? And
that was red team,
I think.
Oh, that was red team. Okay.
Fucking red team. They were supposed to pass those checks and climb on top and wreck you guys from above, but
flankers, yeah.
Shitty red team.
Took them like half the battle to get up there. Dragons. Did Frostbite have anything to do with the Scrag Queen, or did it just make its home there because it's cold and chilly as it likes it?
Yep.
Did it come from the first prime material plane, or did it come from Arcadia?
Oh yeah, where did the dragons come from?
Well, okay, so that's like new, still kind of like burgeoning information, right? That dragons are from like another plane entirely.
Yeah, that is public information that I try not to highlight.
Okay,
it's definitely, it's fine. I mean, it's public, it's out there, but I like the lore that the dragons come from a different plane, like the first plane, but at the same time, I don't want future players to think about that, and I want them just to think dragons are from Arcadia, so I can keep surprising people with that information for years and years to come. But that might not work anymore. Thanks,
so where did these dragons come from? Like, how did the dragon? What?
I mean, dragons got to make a home somewhere, right? You grow up, you're no longer a hatchling.
Okay, were they all related, though? I mean, wasn't there some family tree or?
Yeah, so
when some of them, Frostbite was.
Sleet's mother.
Sleet was Frostbite's daughter, right?
But the other two were independent.
Other way around?
I thought they were all daughters of the Great Worm, or children of the Great Worm. But
they are all children, I believe.
I believe otherwise. I think Sleet was the only one that was related to Frostbite.
But another one that's interesting, did Sleet kill a Scrag? Is that why there were little bits of elven chain all over his lair?
No, those are just like artifacts that Sleet had picked up over the years, and treasure had been dragged in, and some of it was like incomplete and got damaged and shit.
Why had the Scrags never tried to kill the dragons?
Why would they?
I don't know. Why? I mean,
they're peaceful creatures that just want
to enjoy killing and torturing.
No need to fight. The Scrags live underground in their place. The dragons live above ground in their place, and both are happy to cohabitate. Why hasn't Spain ever conquered Portugal, right? Like, Spain has Portugal surrounded. Portugal is so small, but yet they've been allies for fucking hundreds of years. It's bullshit.
Yeah,
that's my biggest pet peeve about Europe, is that Portugal still exists.
Portugal used to be badass, though, back in the day.
Yeah, but Navy, but there's like a tiny little country surrounded by a much bigger country.
Is there a natural barrier there? Is it like a mountain range or something?
I have no idea.
No, but Portugal wasn't always that only small bit of Spain.
It could also be political alliances. That place.
I think it's necessary to point out that Portugal was conquered by Spain.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Greg.
This did happen in history.
Okay.
For people in chat, like, this is misinformation that Neal is spreading. Like,
this is fake news.
He's been spending too much time in his imaginary world where it was
a brief, like, it didn't last, but it was conquered by Spain. This is
okay, but so, like, why is it not still conquered?
Why isn't all of Middle Europe still German, right? Like,
right, yeah. I mean, shit happens. Why doesn't the powerful creature always win in the end? Because,
Well, here's, for those of you who are British and following Brexit, right, the main conundrum here is this problem of when we leave the EU, there's going to be a border in Ireland between Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland that would be the border between the UK and the European Union. It'd be a land border. Because there's been historical problems between Ireland and the UK, having a border there is historically a bad thing. There's a lot of trouble around it. How about this for an alternative solution? We just invade Ireland, make the whole thing part of the UK. Now there's no more land border.
I don't know. Based on what's been happening
back
in
Northern Ireland.
Ireland, please invade and take over England.
Yeah, or just like give back Northern Ireland. That might be nice.
That actually probably would be the best solution, but there is no way that a British Prime Minister would allow that to happen, right?
Yeah.
Well, then I guess we just need to elect a Welshman as the leader of the UK. Yeah, we should have a Welsh PM.
A Welshman would be British, Neal.
Fuck. All right,
what do the Welsh have on their flag?
Dragon.
A dragon. Speaking of dragons, what do they do after the campaign? Did they get sucked into the
they get moved to. Yeah, the whole island moves with the dragons, and then they're like, where the fuck are we? It's no longer cold. Time to move.
So they invade Faerun.
I guess. I don't know. Faerun's not my world. Heroes Graveyard's my one foray into Faerun. And
Faerun, I think the point of Faerun is it's everyone's world, right? It's just like a mishmash of every fantasy ever.
Yeah.
And anyone can show up in the streets of whatever at the...
I suppose.
Streets, I can't remember the names of the towns.
We won't really be seeing any more crossover with Faerun.
Yeah.
But, DM always lies, so...
I remember when I called you an unreliable narrator and you got so pissy with me, and I couldn't tell if I'd actually struck a nerve or not. But I want this clip of the DM always lies. Yes, Neal is an unreliable narrator at times. You can't trust everything.
Sometimes he makes some piece of canon there are no birds here. He swears he's got a good reason for it that he can't remember.
I know that too, because I was like, did I actually make Neal mad? I did.
No, I got a chip on my shoulder. I get pissy easily. I'm kind of an asshole, and I apologize.
The proof. Right?
Yes,
I was right.
You were right, Greg. Everyone who said that Hardcore Heroes is the sequel to... I'm sorry, Heroes Graver is the sequel to Frozen Frontier is right. I lied to you for a year and a half about this shit. I'll keep lying to you.
You say that, Neal. Looking back, I'm trying to remember the last time you were annoyed. What was the point that you were most annoyed in the campaign with what we were doing?
Oh.
Ooh, that is when you guys were in the second zone where you're fighting all the gnolls and the greater gnolls, and there was this we have to kill the dragon, and Greg's like, we don't have to kill the dragon, guys. You're like, we have to kill the dragon, and I'm just sitting I don't care if you kill the dragon or don't kill the dragon, just fucking pick a decision. The party was going back and forth for 2 sessions on what they could
and I think
do.
Out of character, we thought we had to kill the dragon. I thought that was a major plot point. I thought it was to win Frozen Frontier, you have to eventually kill the dragons.
Yeah, but Greg was totally right. You don't have to kill the dragon. You do whatever the fuck you wanted to do, and killing the dragon was great, and it gave you great loot that helped you move forward. But whatever.
But
so that was my most frustrating
Greg's
moment.
Particular argument was that it would be suicide to try and kill the dragon, I believe.
And you have to save yourself.
It basically was, except for the fact that we engaged it on really good terms.
It was near
it
to
could have gone
suicide.
either way. But as it turns out, William and Grimes are dragon slayers.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Neal always lies. Greg is always right.
We just draw
actually,
unsuspecting dragon.
That's not the time you were most annoyed, Neal. The time you were most annoyed is when I was riding the back of the dragon, and you were trying really hard.
I'm pissed you didn't let him take it down.
I know, that was hard.
And then after the fact, chat dug up that rule that creatures can't fly if they're below half HP.
It's fine now.
You should,
Interesting.
You should have given him that kill.
I did not know that.
What kill?
I didn't either.
I was give him what kill?
Let William ride the dragon down.
What? So the dragon should have been a little bitch and be like, "All right, William, just kill me." How unsatisfying would that have been?
The rules and not been able to fly away. And
he's still angry about it now.
Your rules are ridiculous. What do you mean creatures can't fly at half HP?
Almost all of his
squirm.
Yeah, the dragon healed 3 HP a night instead of 1 HP a night. I know that made you guys angry.
That seemed fair enough. I mean, it was we grumbled about it, but
I just remember
dragon can have
and then it was at 60 or 70% when we next saw it 2 days later, and I was just
yeah,
that was fun. We did we stomped that last dragon twice, right? We almost killed it twice and it flew away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chat got super pissed about the dragon not being able to bite something on its back. That, which to me was really irritating.
You let it bite, right? But
I said it could bite William, and everyone was like, "A dragon biting its back? That's insane!" It's like, what? Have you ever seen a duck or a goose?
I took issue with it biting its back while flying. When you watch geese fly, they've got their neck straight ahead for optimal aerodynamics. I think if they turn around and scratch their back, they'd spiral down and.
Which I think is what happened. The dragon lost altitude in the process. Yeah, it was fine. Chat got super pissy.
It was some good-hearted salt. Right?
I think every time that something unexpected and bad happens, chat gets super fucking salty about it.
Definitely.
Unexpected and good too. They were up in arms about that Null cleric sparing us. Right?
Yeah.
I think chat gets saltier than the players do, and I think that's great.
That is true. Yeah, that's definitely true.
And we usually pretend to be saltier than we are to fuel their drama.
Yeah.
You might. I don't.
I don't.
It's this is 100%.
It's I'm actually salty.
I get salty, but I don't know. It's pretty salt is pretty surface level, right? You get over it pretty quick. You stop caring really quickly.
I think where I get most salty is when I feel like it wasn't for the sake of a better story. I look at our characters as playthings to as part of the overall goal of telling these fun stories and playing these cool games. So when some bullshit happens and it's not cool for the story, it's like, what is even going on here?
Yeah.
But anyways.
Like the werewolf overturning our boat and killing us in the river. Would you have ever done that, Neal?
I really didn't want to, but if you guys were being reckless, I would have threatened you with it. And if you continued to be reckless, I would have said, "Well, let's play this game, bitches."
But did you roll the dice every time to see if we encountered a werewolf on the river when we were going over on the boat? I think we only did it once.
I think you only did it once, and I don't think I rolled for it at that point in time. Like I had rolled that day's encounter, and it had been something else.
But you did threaten us with it that day. That's what
Yeah.
The eel. Chat's bringing up the eel. Yes, that's exactly what I meant.
I think my saltiest moment was when you wouldn't let me cast a spell underwater.
That was one of my favorite moments of playing D&D with you guys. It was that whole episode with when Darth came back with the spell book, being chased by the werewolves. So it was so much fun.
I was amazed. Like, I thought he was just going to die. And the fact that Neal let that work and he, like, snuck in and got it, I was just like, what? Yeah, this is, like, unprecedented territory for Neal Erickson right here.
Yeah.
That was good. All
right. Here's some post-game Q&A questions. Did the success of the party on Caledonia have anything to do with the war in Arcadia? Or did it have any effect on the war in Arcadia? I don't feel like we were that successful, actually.
You brought back fat stacks of wealth, which are definitely going to play an influence, and you've also, it will be influential. I am sort of building out a way of deciding how the war plays out, and I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but Drekis is definitely going to have like a stronger positioning.
A strong hand.
Yeah.
It would be cool to try and turn this into some sort of war game, like mechanize it somehow, make the different factions and find a way to gamify it.
Yeah, I sort of have that going down. I'm building armies for all the different armies in the different areas, and we're going to battle them around. And then as our Kuban Knights and Gnomes, Tomes, and Catacombs, they're the two shows in Arcadia at this time, play with things that will change.
Have you ever seen the Stars of That Number rulebook?
Oh, yeah. That has a faction turn system in it.
They have a GM turn for Stars That Number to be played by the GM with spreadsheets.
And each faction is basically a character or a unit, and they've got like HP, and they can take actions.
They have units, yeah.
They have units, and they have exactly. Ryan's exactly right. I think that might be.
Neal hates reading other systems. He just likes to reverse engineer them from the ground up.
But at the end of the day, the way Neal tells the stories, I feel like the fate of the war will be in the hands of the guys from the Kuban Knights and the guys from GTC,
maybe.
Right?
Yeah.
How screwed is Eridon out of curiosity?
You don't even know.
They've been reduced to ashes, right? They're no longer a kingdom.
Stromheim still stands, doesn't it?
As a city, but the kingdom of Eridon is shattered.
Yeah, I assume like Fortune is the one with
Count Vicious.
I assume that's going to be fine.
He's just fine.
Vicious is probably going to be fine.
He's right by Heatstroke though, which is right where the demons are.
Yeah, the demons have been laying low and keeping quiet, but they are not done.
It's all right. Somebody, I know a couple of guys.
They're waiting for their Lord and Master Baron Georg Drumgeist to come and lead them to victory.
Yeah, we've got a lot of problems happening in Arcadia right now. We've got like a big ass red dragon who's fucking shit up. We've got a vampire lord who's just chilling but is possibly ready to act. We've got like a vampire that's recently been released. We've got Malcifer raising undead armies. You know, and then we've got these other wars that are happening.
And our greatest heroes, the Dragon Slayers of Caledonia, get teleported off to Faerun.
Yeah, and that's why it's up to the players in Kuban Knights to sort of like solve the Arcadian problem. And yeah, I mean, like it could end up with Arcadia being completely and utterly destroyed, and we have to move on to a new play environment. Or maybe they'll like subjugate it, or maybe they'll liberate it, or maybe they'll conquer it and then invade Solemn. I don't know, but anything could happen.
One of my thoughts for to go with like Van Helsing Malkai was to kill that red dragon specifically to get access to Mithril again.
Ooh.
We won't be able to kill the red dragon, man.
No,
it would make more sense for us to try and kill the shadow dragon than it would to kill.
But there is a source of Mithril in Arcadia.
Yeah, but it's controlled by the red dragon is the problem.
Is it? We've also got a Mithril mine infested with Grell, and Zwihard was
in a Dyson with Death campaign. A Mithril mine has been found. secret that the dwarves are keeping to themselves.
Yeah,
not sharing with the rest
dwarves. There's a bit of dwarven land disputes.
How strong is the strongest dwarf? Could Malachi go in gaseous cloud the whole? What's it called? Gaseous cloud. What's it called?
Cloud kill.
Cloud kill. Yeah.
I don't. How does cloud kill work?
Like if you've got less than 5 hit die, you just die without a save.
I think I think Zweihaert is 5.
Okay.
And he's not even he's just like a small dwarven lord. No, I don't think you could
kill all the dwarfs. No.
And then if you kill the dwarfs, who's going to forge the mithril for you?
Right.
You have to threaten to cloud kill them and say, if you make Van Helsing mithril armor, we'll go away.
Dwarves have innate magic resistance, don't they? Or is
they do. Yeah. No, just poison.
Oh yeah, kill is a poison.
It's the
adds to the save if you don't get a save.
No, yeah, they get it to poison. I don't think they get it to magic. I think that's a Dragon Age thing. They get it in Dragon Age.
Yeah, I think gnomes and halflings in 2e get saves to magic.
Saves or spell and rod stabs and wands, I think.
Yeah.
I'm taking a look here.
Okay. Do people on Arcadia talk about the heroes of Caledonia, or do they not even know anything about Kel William? Does the court know? Has Princess Stella forgotten about William?
No one's. They haven't forgotten about you. You've just been, they've been busy. So people know of you, people in high ranks. But since this mission was initially like a secret, while you're there trying to like gather the wealth without other people knowing. The information hasn't spread too far. So the upper echelon will know, but I kind of feel like you guys are going to become like the lost legends that sort of maybe you can find a footnote in history about, and you guys had this huge impact.
But I would like you to keep sprinkling in the little Caledonian treasures, right? So we've sent back like bunch of Caledonian coins, and then there's those magic crystals. There were a few like scrag
+3.
Yep.
Yeah, a few scrag magic weapons that sent back. So I would encourage you to sprinkle that throughout the campaign.
We've seen Caledonian cash cropping up in GTC, and we will see other stuff as they trickle through.
Yeah. I think I read in the Discord that there were some references to Grimes and or William in one of the Gnomes, Tomes, and Catacombs things.
Yeah,
someone fill me in? Did they do it?
One of the players passed a couple of climbing checks, and he's like, "I think I'm a descendant of Grimes," even though it like takes place in the same time.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It did upset me though, because the guy with the Caledonian coins was like, we got some knights over there doing some shit. I don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
You ungrateful little shit.
But on the flip side, I mean, that's probably what a Caledonian noble would think of it, right?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Dwarves do get bonus.
Or sorry, a Dracissian.
Dracissian, yes.
Dwarves get bonus magic resistance?
Yeah, they get bonus to saves, same as their poison.
Spell.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, to wands, spells, rods, stabs, all that stuff.
Sweet.
Goddamn dwarfs. But you don't get a save unless you're level 5, so.
Yep.
So what else have we got on this?
Is there anything on this document we haven't really covered?
There's still some post-game stuff. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Shenanigans crossover? No.
How did Zara, the Null Cleric of Velthara, know Grimes' real name? And why did she let us live?
Because Velthara told her cleric what had happened. That these people have come, and she showed the cleric visions of your past and who you were, and kind of told her cleric what the fuck was going on. And then when you guys showed up, she knew it was what.
Why didn't she help us, though?
Because you gave her an ultimatum. You said, join us or die. Right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, well, all these like attempts that William has to like work with people all turn into subjugation. That's all like, here's a tinderbox. Do you want to fight us? If you don't fight us, I'm going to kill you. Okay, I'm going to fucking kill you now.
Oh,
right?
This is Grimes' fault. If Grimes had said, here, William, you take the ring, you speak to the Nulls, I feel like it would have gone a lot better.
Yeah, sure. Blame the translator.
I will blame the translator.
Grimes
because I actually heard what he was saying.
Grimes did have, I think Greg said this, and it was my favorite quote from the show, that Grimes had a miraculous ability to mistranslate common into common.
Yes. Grimes' translations were great. Because he's not a translator, and he sort of messed up a detail here or two that sort of changed the tone of things. It's fantastic. I really enjoy those moments because I feel that the real history of the real world turns often on small little events like that. Where, you know, something isn't translated right, or someone shows up at the sandwich shop at the right time or whatever by accident.
Yep.
And so the Grimes, like, slightly mistranslating something having a huge impact on the game, I enjoy personally quite a bit.
No, I like that too.
All right. Richard is not a member of the family crime syndicate.
No, he is not.
No.
Or is he?
And there was another weird one. Like, no, the family did not kill Grimes' father.
Oh, what's up with
the backstory?
Out of curiosity, what's up with William's wife? Because she went silent after a pretty short while.
Yeah, because her father was kind of like, well, I don't know if William's going to survive this. I'm going to try and, like, protect my daughter's heart by, you know, getting a little separation from her husband who may not return from war. Like, let's distract her with other things. I don't want her to go into an eternal depression if he dies.
Was the fire that burnt the house down lit on purpose, or was that just some fortunate accident?
Of course it was lit on purpose, yeah.
But why? To what end, though?
Shit, what was the situation surrounding that? There's a reason. When the house burnt down, he was able to move other people to a different estate or something.
Was it to move the family into his house?
I think it was something along the lines of, like, move the family into his house, gain Grimes's territory, or William's territory, and, like, redo it in a certain way or something. Shit, I don't have notes on this stuff. And it was to further his own ends and, you know, solidify his power a little bit more.
I have a few elven ones here that are pretty interesting.
Knock it up.
Did island elves know about the Scrags? Would they have helped the party in dealing with them?
Island elves? What are island elves?
The ones right around the Zaratan.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if they know about the Scrags, actually.
Okay.
But if we had explained it to them, they may have helped us.
No, they're druids. They're just here to, like, return trees to Caledonia. They're not
probably mad at our gratuitous use of firewood.
Yes, and they would probably try and, like, flee from you, and they wouldn't let you on their Zeraton. And...
Well, actually, I was going to say, how would the elven druids have generally reacted if the party had made it to the mobile rock island?
I think they would have been like, who the fuck are you? What are you doing here? Humans in Caledonia? That hasn't been seen for such a long time. Go away. Leave us alone. Stop taking our trees. Yeah. No, William's wife did not fuck around on William.
Thank you very much.
What about now that he's in Forgotten Realms?
She doesn't know that he's gone. She'll remarry if she survives once they're assured William is gone forever.
How can you ever be sure? Is this like an Odysseus journey?
I think her dad at a certain point's like, well, he's not coming back. Sweetie, let's get higher rank in society.
Since Faerun is managed by other DMs, is it not possible that I could just play a session with another DM and get him to teleport me back to...
No. I mean, sure, you could get that campaign to be run, but it would have no canon.
And then they're never going to let you keep your D12 flaming longsword.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad times.
All right.
Nick, I'll run that campaign for you right now. It'll be over in an hour.
Did we do all the questions?
I feel like we've done that haven't been answered, but I think we've selected.
How are the strike holes straight? I assume they're just the same spell that they used to dig
magic.
Yeah,
they dug it out magically.
Yeah, I don't know if they dug it out themselves or if just like the innate magic flowing in these directions like eroded the mountains and created the crystals in the same way that like crystal formations and caves are created by like acidic water moving through them, you know.
There's one here that I don't remember, but Greg might remember and you might remember. What was the weird ice lich thing Greg found while he was doing spooky magic stuff in the clouds overhead? I don't remember that personally.
I don't remember that either.
What's the ice lich?
It didn't make any sense to me. I don't think there were any ice liches.
Yeah, Greg, are you an ice lich?
No, but I made one, I think. I feel like I was doing... I think I remember what they're talking about. I was doing my skywalking crap. Mm-hmm. And I was like following the fog, and I went up like above the fog to like look around, I think, and there was like an evil presence, right? Like I think I remember feeling an evil presence, but I don't think it was more than that. I don't think I actually saw an ice lich.
Right.
Or maybe it wasn't quote unquote evil, but like a menacing presence or something like that. Like something that,
could have been the orb itself, perhaps, if it was sentient.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was.
Why were there polar bears in Caledonia? Were they there before the freezing, or were they summoned afterwards?
So when Caledonia froze, the gods sort of picked whatever favorite creatures they wanted and saved them. So, actually, I used to have a list of this in my brain, but one god, Nerul, saved the giants and turned them from like hill giants to frost giants, and then Velthara saved the gnolls and turned them from regular gnolls to like gnolls that could survive in the cold conditions. And someone saved the kobolds, and I don't remember who picked the kobolds. Someone picked the kobolds, and someone picked bears, and someone picked this, and they like
Jack's all right. You picked the kobolds.
Yeah, and so all the gods like Noah's Ark their favorite creatures and allow them to survive.
Yeah, I like the idea that they all sort of met around a table and were like, okay, I'll take the gnolls. Mm-hmm. What are you going to take? I'm going to take the kobolds. Like, no, you can't have any kobolds here. They just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Who chose, sea wolves? Fucking weirdo.
Oh yeah, those are wolf, gnoll, troll combinations. Yeah.
Ooh. The guy who came up with that idea, I just feel must have got.
I think that is Malchus right there.
Yeah, that's from Malchus.
Okay. Yeah.
It's got to be Jexel who did the kobolds. I can just imagine him like being drunk at that meeting.
No, we need kobolds.
Like, I don't care. Just
he got really excited about kobold counting. Actually, like there was a kobold servant. He was like, "Bring me a drink," and he was like, "How many drinks?" And he was like, "1 and 1 and 1 and 1," and he really liked it.
That's how many drinks. Excellent. Let's save all the kobolds. Yeah.
Did Sleet have malevolent feelings towards the party before he saw my shield?
Yeah. What was the moment where Sleet became an enemy?
I think the moment Sleet becomes an enemy is when you guys have that big ass battle and you kill all the gnolls, and Sleet's like, "Oh shit, they're a real threat all of a sudden. Like they're not just like random humans cruising around. Like these are dangerous monsters that I need to get rid of."
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense, right? That does make sense.
Yeah,
but
Sleet was
was Frostbite a great worm?
Probably.
Well, like totally unkillable, right? Unless we would level.
I didn't have stats for it. Yeah. So Sleet was defined as young, Squall and Gale were defined as adults.
Right.
Hold on. I think I have some more stuff for you about dragons.
Where was Mom sleeping?
She's sleeping in that big mass on the right side. Right here. Yeah, she's cruising in this area.
But we thought we were waking up I thought we were waking up the great worm and dropping rocks on her head.
Yeah, this was an interesting moment because you guys, the way that I remember that is I described this like this amphitheater thingy, but without anything particularly in it at that moment. And then you guys were like, well, there's a dragon there and it's Frostbite. And I'm like, well, that's definitely not Frostbite. She's not there. And I don't even think there was a dragon there when you first saw it, but it is a place where dragons will come and rest. So when you went back there, Gale was chilling there. But you never saw Frostbite until Volcano started busting and she started cruising around.
Yeah. It's fortunate because if we'd have tried that on Frostbite, it probably would have had too much HP left in kills.
She's too big.
Let's see, what else have we got in here? Surely the resounding success that is the Caledonian expedition more than makes up for the Akuban Knights and Gnomes, Tomes, and Catacombs crews playing right into the hands of Scoria. I'd say that's a yes on that one.
I guess someone's still got to take all these all this Caledonian loot and turn it against Scoria, right?
Mm-hmm. There was a cool thing with the giants that never got fully fleshed out, actually. Their king, Gordoth, is one of the original ones who survived the freeze, and the giants can sort of like sleep in a sort of stasis, and so there are a lot of giants around, and every now and then King Gordoth comes back and like they reanimate him to solve some sort of like dispute between the giants. And there was a whole history of giant lore where there were wars fought between the giants and shrines and temples erected, and Gordoth comes back and like helps out and then disappears again, but we never got to see him.
Wasn't Gordoth the king that we were talking with? At least we called him that. We thought he was.
Oh no, current king is Gordoth. Hold on, who's the other king?
The first king, you mean?
The first giant king.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Oh, it's somewhere. I don't know why I can't find any of my notes anymore.
I think we might be out of questions.
I think so. I think we're
gone through most of it. Yeah.
Would there have been any way to use the crystals against the Scrags? I don't think so.
Greg could figure it out. I don't know about the rest of you.
I mean, we did use them to eliminate that whole hallway, right?
Yeah.
Was there any advantage in us blowing up the volcanoes?
That's what started a destabilization process for the magic, which, started screwing some things up. So had you destabilized both, hold on, are we looking at the map? Yeah, we're looking at the map. So we have 4 volcanoes. One of them is used to power Scrag stasis chambers, and that's all it does. The other 2 volcanoes power the orb. So if you destabilize both these volcanoes, then the orb itself would have freaked out and fucked up and fucked off with the world. Destabilizing one of them is enough to cause problems with the orb and its ability to function. What
about the middle one? That's what we had the final fight, right?
Yeah, I guess the middle one is also involved with the orb, but these 2 are like the side thrusters on the main thruster. That is the rocket ship. That is Caledonia.
So if we'd have just blown up the volcano but not thrown the Scrags into it, would they have woken up or would they have all just died?
If you had blown up the volcano without throwing the Scrags in, I think they probably would have gotten like saving throws, and some of them would have died and some of them would have escaped.
Good job we didn't do that.
Yeah. I had a whole note on like giant history and lore, a whole document on it. It's fucking gone.
Was there any other way of defeating the Scrags other than like a direct combat and killing the Queen at the end?
I don't have any in mind, but oftentimes players solve things in ways I don't expect.
Yeah, I suppose.
Oh, here we go. Here's our giant history. Oh, here we go. Okay, now I can answer more questions about dragons. I found my shit in this other place where I keep notes. Sleet was 100 years old and had sided with frost giants and gnolls to help kill the previous dragon, Storm, who had that lair. Squall and Gale were siblings with Storm, and they were all children of Frostbite. And so then, Sleet shows up, allies with giants and gnolls to kill Storm, takes Storm's place, and Squall and Gale are like, whatever, that's fine. I don't give a shit. And Frostbite's like, I don't give a shit. I'm an evil dragon. One of my kids dies, that's their problem. And moved on. Yeah.
So Sleet was the only one that wasn't related to Frostbite?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had that the wrong way there.
Frostbite was 1,600 years old. So she had probably had lots of rotations of children that had lived and probably been killed by other dragons, and there had probably been a whole dragon ecology of coming and going and staying and dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cranus was the first king, was the first giant king.
That's right.
Yeah. Druids began to reforest Caledonia 150 years after everything froze over.
Wow, they've been out for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On the map, there's a frost giant right by Fort Pass. How come we never ran into that?
That was the one that we fought at Fort Pass, right?
No, we fought it up by the tower, near Saltport.
The thing at Fort Pass it's a shrine. It is a frost giant shrine to Tempos. It's got a crack in the ground with noxious fumes and priests who hibernate between visits, so they live a very long time, and a trio of honor guards. So you could get visions of the future from that place.
Oh, sick. That's cool.
Yeah.
But there are 3 giants guarding it?
Yep.
Somehow we missed that.
You guys just never climbed that mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a couple that we didn't answer. If any of the characters could go back in time and were able to change something, would they?
Okay. I think we already talked about this. Amelie, right?
Oh, right. Well,
I mean, not if we directly answered it, but
yeah.
Yeah, I think William regrets letting Yaramir give the amulet to Amelie.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything I could have done to convince you, Greg?
Probably. I think you would have died anyways.
I don't think you would have done.
That fight right there, I would have died anyways.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the numbers were so high.
I would have. The amulet only gave me 15 AC. their rolls to hit were consistently way
30
above
plus.
that.
Yeah.
I would have survived exactly one more round, but I didn't really have a lot to do. And I did the thing that I thought gave me the best chance to like make the fight go quick, which is the way I think that would the highest chance for Yarmir to survive was to just output massive amounts of damage.
Sometimes the best defense is a good offense.
Yeah. Especially in D&D, because there's really no such thing as a tank in this game.
Well, I think we've sort of answered all the questions, and I'm content with this thus far. Are you guys?
Yeah.
All right.
The only last one is what's next for all the players.
Well, at some point in the future, once Gnomes, Tomes, and Catacombs and Kuban Knights and all those other people fuck up and get killed, I would love to get this group back together again, because you guys are a lot of fun to play with. I feel like we've got really good chemistry between us, and I thoroughly enjoy all of our sessions together. So without putting any solid dates on the table, I would very much like to play again in the future, you know.
Yeah,
so sometime when
as long as you give me
right.
like advance warning, I'll try and like clear that bit on my schedule.
Yeah, but whenever it is that we'll figure something out, we'll be like 3 or 4 months before it actually happens, probably. So we'll give you plenty of heads up, and assuming that you all still want to play with us, then that's something we'll do.
Hopefully I didn't run you all away.
Yeah, as long as I haven't pissed you all off with my asshole nature as a DM. Yeah.
We're all assholes here. We're in good company.
Speak for yourself.
Nick, you are the only British person here. You are like the genuine transcendent asshole of the group.
I don't know what you mean by that, but I'll assume that you mean that I'm not an asshole, so I'll take that. Neal, I know you want Sundays off, but can we do Malachi and that every now and again on a Sunday? Or
Absolutely, yeah. We can do Malachi and Van on Sundays for stuff, and we'll Malcifer will keep going, and Greg has a show on Saturdays, and I will find a time to grab Greg for other things when we're both free. So this is hopefully not the end of these lovely faces. Hopefully we will see them around longer.
Yeah, I'll definitely find some time to slot in there.
Yeah. I imagine we'll play many more sessions of D&D in the next few decades.
Just need a break to refresh our creative juices, right?
Yeah.
We're all out of ideas. What's the next campaign?
That's actually... were you there for this? I think everyone except Greg was there. We were like talking after Hardcore Heroes about what to do, and like the whole Frofro thing started because I was like, what's going on with this like the southern tip, this little bit of frozen stuff you got down here? What's that little like grayed out town? What's going on down there? And that literally turned into like a 2-hour long discussion about how we could make a Frozen Frontier campaign.
And to be honest, I wasn't super psyched at the time. When you were suggesting this, I'm like, oh god, that doesn't sound like fun, but whatever my players want to do is what I'm going to end up doing, because that'll be more fun. And it turned out great. It turned out fantastic. It was a good idea to trust in you. Yeah.
Any future game, I would like to try the new cleric system out. It sounds great.
Oh, what's the new cleric system? I know nothing about it.
It's just
watch a Kuban Knights.
The main difference, I think, Sean, is that the spells are weaker, but you're not limited in how many you can cast, sort of thing. And then they're more specific to the individual gods. So, like a Malchus cleric's much more likely to have spells that are aligned to him. But yeah, you can cast as much as you want.
Yeah, and weaker is maybe different. It's a power scope change. So, like clerics of Martha get a healing blessing, and it will just restore any wound of 5 HP or less is restored. So there's also a wound tracking system involved. And
the
like
wound
a cleric
I really like.
A cleric of Jexel has like flat advantage on any attempt to persuade or deceive anyone ever. They're just like really believable, and everyone's always kind of like, Malchus? Yeah. So there are like abilities that they have that are far reaching and can happen at all points in time, but their power is sort of capped. So they're just like a really steady, consistent buff across the board. But you have to be... So a lot of their abilities are dependent on... How do you say?
The faith
the faith of the person they're casting on. So there's a ability called Battle Hymn, and anyone who's adorned with the sigils of the god who is the cleric is of, that's casting Battle Hymn. That was a word salad.
I just love that you've never read or played Hackmaster in any capacity, because every time you tell me this thing that you just homebrewed, I'm like, oh yeah, that's literally a system in Hackmaster.
There's a system. If you cast a spell on somebody in Hackmaster, if you cast it on somebody who's anointed to your faith, it has a stronger effect.
See, yeah. But these are like no effect if you're not anointed. Or whatever. Yeah.
But then they get like miracles as well, which is really cool. So like every now and again, if the time is right and it satisfies a particular need for that god, like I think Malchus at level 5, Malchus Cleric can cast an earthquake.
That's cool. So they get. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, but those require actual intervention from your god. So you've got blessings that you can do at will, and then miracles where your god comes down and judges your action and either goes with it or doesn't go with it.
Yeah, so it's a little bit like the 5e one. You have like the way to make divine contact in 5th edition.
Ooh, I don't know anything about that.
I don't remember how it works.
Not like
you now have permission to talk to your DM.
Yeah, like level 7 or something. You can like talk to your god and be like, "Hey, help me out a little," and then sometimes they can do it.
Yeah.
And there's a new wizard spell system too. I like the way we've been tinkering with wizards lately.
It's fun.
Right. The new cleric system feels fitting for clerics, but all the varied wizard things, like going from in Hardcore Heroes and Georg era, doing like the very by the book wizards, more or less.
To Yaromir's
with his tattoo casting, to this MP based conjurer that
I like mana systems. That's
the Koibu Knights has a mana system for their conjurers, for their spellcasters, and a whole brand new spell list with brand new spells that are, some of them are pretty cool. I'm really happy about them. There's a duplicate item spell that I'm particularly proud of, where you just like you hold one thing in your hand and cast it, and then the closest thing that matches that nearby appears in your other hand. So like you could hold a sword and conjure like the sword from the closest person to you, as long as they're like similar types of swords. Yeah,
the Knights is what edition? 2nd?
It is 2nd, heavily modified 2nd.
You like swap between 5e and 2e a lot, and I never know which one you're doing for your games.
He's always doing 2e.
But he pulls in a lot of 5e games.
I do 5e with new people and like high profile streamers who want to have a wide reach of their game system, and I do 2e for the cool people
like your
who
core,
are like
it's like your core audience.
It's like the hipster thing to do, you know. It's like we're gonna play this old 2e edition of it's back from the 80s, guys. It's
great. We only play 2e.
2e's the best.
What if somebody turns up and starts streaming 1e though? What are you gonna do then?
Laugh at them, because why would you want to play 1e? It's just a shitty dungeon crawl. Go to hell.
Fair enough.
Although there is a part of me that there was once upon a yesteryear, there were like tournaments for Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, you got like scored, and
you would get scored based on how well you cleared the dungeon, monsters you killed, items you pulled out.
I always wondered about
there's a part of me in my brain that wants to go get those old 1e adventures, and run them in my like channel, or run them on Neal's channel or something, and be like, okay, pick your 4. Right, you're gonna get a score. Somebody else pick your 4. You're gonna get a score. At like the end of a month or something, like
have like a list or whatever.
Yeah, like this is the rankings. This is the league table. Here's your championship. Like
that would be cool.
At the end of the month, you get like a splat.
After 2 fatal, that can be fatal 3 fatality. It'll have like a scored dungeon crawl with a leaderboard.
Did you say fatal 3 fatality?
Oh, yeah. I'm already going to turn.
Please make that the official name.
Yeah, but that is a concept that's been boinking about in my mind for a little while, and I would love to make that happen.
That sounds cool. That sounds like a great use of first edition.
Yeah. First edition was a bit of a disaster. Like if I were going to do the dungeon crawlers, I'd probably just go back to basic at that point. But it had some really interesting stuff in its books. Like I thoroughly enjoyed reading the first edition books.
Or maybe I would go to like an OSR game and just like make it Lamentations or something. Yeah. But I think that would be super, super cool. Super cool. I also want to make Neal play a out of the vault Fallout adventure. Like I feel like he would be the best vault dweller ever.
Oh god.
One of my favorite things about like the old Fallout games, like Fallout 2, is that when you make your character, you can literally print out your character sheet, because they were so tied into like the old like tabletop way of doing things. Yeah, it was literally meant for you to be able to export your character sheet from Fallout 2.
Cool. Back when Fallout was good, like it was very RPG. Like it was very much tabletop. Like
Fallout 2 was a really interesting game in that regard. Like it was a genuine RPG.
Is it based on D&D?
No, not really, at least.
It's heavily inspired by Dungeons and
Yes, but mechanically it is its own beast entirely.
I just love the 2E rules, so we'll need to go and play Baldur's Gate, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I think we are going to be done here today. You can see Ryan on Thursdays with more Malcifer on Dicing with Death. You'll be able to catch Sean and Nick occasionally, sort of sporadically, when we keep playing with Van Helsing and Malachi. We probably won't see much of Greg around in a while, unfortunately. It's the one big regret.
But you can always tune in to twitch.tv/Greg Hansen.
Yep. Saturdays at noon, I'm on a show over on his channel, actually.
Yeah, you can see Greg and Sean and Anna Sophie from Akuban Nights, and I forget his first name, but Millman, who used to play Shenanigans way back in the day, and Greg's brother, who I've never met.
Not my brother. My roommate, ex-roommate, who I met in Adventures League, Captain Mel. He does a lot of Dungeons and Dragons based stuff, like elsewhere on the internet. Not necessarily Dungeons and Dragons, just role-playing games in general. He's known as Captain Mel. And then just like my bud from high school, who I played a lot with, Dan.
You guys looked kind of alike, so I was like, "Oh, is it Greg's brother?"
I think it's a lot alike. We look a lot alike. It's a lot of fun. I have to learn how to juggle being a DM, which I'm very good at like home, and like all the responsibilities of being a like show producer. There's a lot of plates to juggle, and I think I'm getting better at that. But it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Yeah. So that's where you can find all these fun people. If you want to see them again, I hope you do.
Yeah, and a major thank you to all of the viewers and fans over the years, and all of the other people who contributed their creativity to this campaign. Right.
Well, we can't. We absolutely need to mention Layla and Chris for their lovely recaps and their voices and their contributions to all of those things. You guys have really made this wonderful. You know, it's not the same having campaigns without your recaps. They're amazing. We love you, and we all thank you.
The fan support, like in all ways, made this incredibly special.
It's, it was
one of the most interesting and enjoyable experiences. Right, just having everybody so involved in it and care about it and produce cool things like art and voiceovers and all of it is very cool.
Yeah, I'm actually almost going to miss that more than the show itself. I used to love like replying to everything in the Reddit thread and like talking on Discord and stuff.
I loved lurking the Reddit thread and the Discord and not actually participating.
That's basically what I used to be super active, and now I just like read them and never respond.
Yeah.
Just watching all the discussion happen.
Yeah, a shout out to Ignorance for doing the initial character art for all of the NPCs, all of the fort people, Captain Hughes and Alicia and Elizabeth and David and Joseph and Mallory and all those people.
And Matthew for doing the artwork.
Matthew Berger Art for all of the artwork, the intro, most of the little bits that came up here and there. Let's see. Oh God, who made these tokens? Was it Ignorance, or was it Square, or was it Squawker? I didn't write. Squarey?
Squarey
did Square do the tokens, or Squawker?
Cool stuff. The boy did some cool cartoons and stuff. There have been so much awesome.
Oh my God, I remember. I have one of those lights too. I have it like bookmarked and everything. I love those YouTube videos.
I didn't name.
They were great. The Void ones, they were great.
Yeah, I didn't name my folder with your name, so I forgot who did these, and I apologize. But I think it started with an S, and it was Squawker or Squarer or something. You're amazing.
I think it was Squarey.
I'm pretty sure it was Squarey.
I think it was Squarey too. Okay, thank you, Squarey, for your tokens. We've used them forever. They were great. What other things did people make? The Arcadian News Network, which is done by Cincy Omega and McTacky. I think they both work on it. That's fantastic. Those posts are hilarious and amazing, and I love them. They're the greatest things ever. And to chat for helping me plan things back when we used to plan things.
Now we don't plan anymore.
No, now I don't plan on stream anymore. But now that Frofro's over, I can start doing it again. It'll be fine. It'll be great. And
this has been awesome to play a campaign with this community.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Thank you to Tabletop Audio for the soundtrack to this the whole time, which has just been amazing.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And Zoom to having reliable video conferencing software. And if anyone listens to LBC in the UK, I hear adverts for Zoom like 50 times a day on that radio station.
I love Zoom. I wish there was a way to do group calling with like small groups at not $15 a month, because I would buy in on that so fast.
Yep.
Before we go, Neal, I'm still working on this, but I have my own piece of fan art. All right, you ready for this? It's a poem. Okay. Written from the perspective of William. Okay. From Sulwick hailed, I made my way. New friends in tow. They seemed okay. The sea was rough. The ship sailed quick. I could swear that Zaz wanted to see my... At Fort Wick we landed, all wood and ice. Some men, some walls. The captain seemed nice. Our first foray into the woods to recover ancient and valuable goods. We found a knoll. His name was Nash. Unfortunately, as friends, we had to smash. An ancient tomb within the rock. A lost jewel, a dying mage, a terrible shock. Bacassa dead, we fled the cave. Yarrow was dying, but we rushed to save. Back to the fort and medical advice. The sergeant operated and saved his life. A fight with Yetis far to the south. Atop a mountain, we crawled our way out. Far in the distance, my heart did flutter. At the coast, we spied a man-made structure. All right, that's how far I've got.
Well, very good.
That was good, Nick. Thank you. That was so good.
All right.
All right. Well, this has been a true joy to run and a true joy to play with. Ryan?
I have a shout out. Thank you, Aaron. Love of my life. It's our 7th anniversary today. She's not listening to this because she hates D&D, but she's super supportive and letting me shout at kobolds in the house every Sunday.
Thank you, Aaron. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Neal. More than most.
This has been a joy, and I'm going to miss this on my Sundays. So,
see everyone at some unspecified point in the future.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. See y'all on the other side.
Next time, Space Cowboy.
See you guys.